My son wrote the Russian alphabet without knowing anything about the Russian language. I didn't know what was going on, but there were too many things happening that just didn't make sense. As Evan got older, the nightmares became more frequent and more vivid. Evan would tell me about a lot of his dreams, and there were plenty that he didn't tell me about. Evan would tell me that he was a Russian soldier fighting the Germans. He said his job was to take people out with a rifle. And he thought he was a sniper because he worked with a rifle and very often on his own. He had to kill a lot of people. That's when I started thinking, okay, there's something more to this. There's something going on here. When Evan would tell me about these dreams, he was very obviously distraught. He said he didn't want to kill, but he had to. He had trouble dealing with it, he said. He could feel the pain of both himself and the other people. The anguish, the horror, the dread, the fear, everything. And more things came to light about his dreams. He said he saw himself on his deathbed, and his friend came to be with him. His wife was there, and he had 2 children, and his little girl held his hand as he died. Evidently, he had some kind of affliction to his lungs that ultimately caused his death. Pretty intense, knowing what emotions and thoughts were going through his mind as he was laying there on his deathbed. Pretty emotional. Death is hard anyway, but to hear my son saying how he felt about his family and having to say goodbye made me cry. I took him to a counselor because he was having these nightmares, and he went for quite a while, and they didn't tell me a lot, but they did tell me that he was suffering from PTSD. He'd never had any severe trauma in his life. Could my son's past life trauma be affecting him in this life? We started researching a lot of the details from Evan's dreams, and we found that there was a sharpshooter named Ivan Mikhail Sidorenko, and he was one of the best sharpshooters in Russia. When Evan saw his picture, he felt a connection with this man. They have similar looks, but he said, you know how when you look in someone's eyes, you can feel something? I feel something when I look at him. And as we read the details of this man's military career, most of it matched up with Evan's dreams. In 1944, Ivan Sidorenko was awarded the Hero of the Soviet Union, a very high and prestigious award. Ivan Sidorenko fought in the Battle of Moscow, and a lot of the details about the Battle of Moscow were revealed in Evan's dreams. I believe that Evan could have been Ivan Sidorenko. Evan's name even matched up with Ivan's. Ivan Mikhailovich and Evan Michael. I was floored. Wow. Evan still has nightmares. They're not as frequent. He still has flashbacks, and he still has anxiety.
I'm Evan. In my past life, I believe I was a Soviet soldier during World War II named Ivan Sidorenko. When I was a kid, I had all these pretty bad nightmares. The dreams were set during World War II on the Eastern Front, during the time the Nazis and Soviets were fighting each other. And that was, I think, 1941 and 1942, around those years. There was this one dream. I was crawling like through this trench, and I guess it was a man-made one, and there was machine gun fire and bombs going off, and it was super loud out. And it was just me and a couple other guys and one girl. And then I noticed there was this big old factory in the distance, and I guess that was our destination. And we went there, and as soon as we went into the factory, there were our guys, so we didn't have to worry about the fighting. And I remember someone taking me, and like a guy with a cap. I remember that guy coming up to me and putting his hand up my shoulder and saying, Ivan, you know, go up there. I remember him doing something like, davai, mashizno, or something like that, and pointing up to this catwalk. As soon as I got up there, I could see a bunch of German tanks coming towards us. And I thought, oh boy. I knew right away that they wanted me to do something like pick them off or something. And I remember just thinking, that's it. holy crap, it's pretty much up to me to defend it. If not, then we're all dead. That was a particularly terrifying dream.
I'm Michelle Rubin. I am a psychotherapist, which is a talk therapist. People come and talk to me about all kinds of issues in their lives. But I have a specialty both in grief and loss and in spirituality. And I'm here in Springfield, Missouri to meet with Evan and his mom.
Hi, Evan. Nice to meet you, Michelle.
So nice to meet you. Because he has memories since he was a little boy of being a Russian sniper in World War II. And this has caused him a lot of stress. So I'm curious to work with him and find out how this is affecting his life today and see what we can do to help him move forward and feel more at peace with this. You know, I want to sort of turn it to you. We've spoken on the phone.
Yeah.
I've got some of the base information that you happen to come into this life remembering your past life.
Yeah, it is pretty freaky. I'm not gonna lie. I've lived with this my whole life, and you know, once I figured out what all this actually was, I thought, oh, okay, so I'm not crazy. And then the next problem became, you know, well, now that we know, who can I tell? And for that matter, who can I tell and trust?
So you've done a lot of, seems like, soul searching.
Yeah.
How is this impacting your life right now?
Right now, I still have those dreams, and the stuff like that still does go on.
It's not completely gone.
No. It by no means is it like just wiped away. It's still, it's like, if you think of me as like a room, there's like that little dark spider in the corner. He used to consume the whole room, but somebody came along and like put him in a little tiny corner. So it's still kind of there, but every now and then it'll spin its web down and try and eat at you,
So it doesn't bother you all the time, but it's kind of just lurking there. It could show up, you don't know when.
Lurking,
maybe.
that's a perfect word.
Lurking, okay. Yeah. So one thing we haven't hit on is this idea that you've somewhere along the line gotten a diagnosis. Is that right?
He was told by a counselor that he had symptoms of PTSD. They suggested that he go to a psychiatrist, but we aren't in that vein of give him a pill, it'll be better. And that's what I was afraid that would happen, is they'd just give him some kind of medication instead of getting to the root of the problem, because I don't think many psychiatrists would say, oh yeah, let's check out this past life thing.
So now I'll throw in one of the, I was gonna say, the philosophies that has sort of come out.
Yeah.
And that I've heard myself and I've read. Sort of the idea that our soul needs to keep coming back to experience every angle. Some you're the victim and some you're the perpetrator.
Huh.
Some you're madly in love, some you're alone. And that really you have to like come into many, many, many different lifetimes to gather all of that knowledge. It's not that someone's is evil and someone's good. You're not gonna be judged for the life that you killed people in war, and that even if you were good at it, and it doesn't mean you were a bad spirit or soul. That was just that one lesson in that one life.
Huh.
Does that make?
So it's not really a personal thing. It's just a thing that happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd want to share that we haven't covered?
Well,
today?
I've always wondered, will the dreams ever just stop one day and just be like, and I just don't have to ever worry about that again, or is that always gonna be there?
I think the more work you do on it to clear it, almost like a clearing, you could probably access it if you wanted to for different reasons, but I think that it wouldn't be coming to you when you don't want it to.
So what you're saying is it could keep going, yeah, it could keep going downhill. Well, that's good to know.
But for today, you know, I don't know how you felt about it, but it was a pleasure for me to meet you and for you to share all of this.
Thank you.
And I look forward to continuing our work together.
Well, thank you very much, and I really appreciate meeting you too, Michelle, and that was,
Thank you.
yeah, really helps a lot, you know, and I'm sure all that advice will help, and I'll probably learn a thing or two. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I don't think Evan's past life in Russia as a sniper is something he has to get over, per se. I've given him some resources. I gave him a couple books and some CDs and even a worksheet that goes with the CDs that will really help him get more knowledge about the subject so that he can look at it from the big picture perspective and not be so focused on the specific things that happened in this one lifetime for him. I'm excited for him as he's gonna get better and move forward.
I was able to get a good sense of direction with where I should go in my life from here. I'm very glad that I was able to have that talk with Michelle and that it'll help me be able to move forward.